With his teeth clenched, a man stands before the woman, sweat streaming down his face. As they step outside, the woman addresses him as Colonel Nelson, her tone filled with concern as she asks if he's all right. Nelson admits to Saya that none of the medicines or herbs are working. Their healing effects are completely ineffective. Saya frowns, warning him of the potential consequences. She explains that taking further action could easily ignite a war against them. She also reminds him of the danger awaiting him upon his return, that he could be blamed for making the situation worse. But Nelson remains resolute. He argues that the consequences would be far worse if he admits he's unable to heal, for in that case, execution might be his only fate. He insists that escaping is their only option. The scene then shifts to a young girl rushing anxiously toward Queen Melina. The queen turns to her and addresses her as Yuo, asking what's going on. Yuo, catching her breath, delivers the alarming news: the human healers have escaped. At once, Queen Melina's expression tightens with concern. Yuo adds that she's certain the humans have discovered their secret. Determined to handle the matter herself, the queen rises and declares that she'll go speak directly with the demons to explain everything. Moments later, she stands before them, bowing her head slightly as she apologizes and insists that she's been framed. The demon leader, his voice heavy with irritation, demands that she explain herself, warning that if she doesn't, things will turn ugly. Nearby, a stern demon lady sits silently, her expression sharp as she asks Queen Melina how she intends to fix such a fragile situation. The tense moment fades as the scene transitions to the tranquil beauty of a forest, its calmness a stark contrast to the storm brewing elsewhere. Amami carefully examines the wound of the chimera, confirming that it's healing nicely and that all that's left is to wait for the surrounding fur to grow back. He apologizes for having to shave the area earlier, and the Chima happily responds by licking him in gratitude. However, Corona steps forward and reveals her own wound, worried that it doesn't seem to have healed much. Amami gently reassures her, explaining that her slower healing is completely normal when compared to the incredibly fast recovery rate of the chimera. He then mentions his plan to record this experience as a case study. When Corona curiously asks what a case study is, Amami explains that it's a written publication used to share effective treatment methods, an important resource for doctors and hospitals. This revelation leaves Koron completely stunned, questioning whether it's really wise to publish such vital information so casually. Suddenly, a snake lunges at Koron, biting and snapping her collar. Amami reacts in shock, but the tense moment quickly turns into laughter as they all share a lighthearted reaction to the unexpected attack. Despite the snake's stern expression, Koron affectionately hugs it and expresses her gratitude, also offering thanks to the forest god for their protection. Meanwhile, Slime shows affection in its own way, happily licking Amami's cheek. The scene then transitions deep into the forest, where a girl is seen desperately fleeing from a pack of black wolves. In a frantic attempt to defend herself, she tries to stop the wolves using her magic, but the wild beasts are completely uncontrollable. It's soon revealed that the fleeing girl is actually the princess of the wolves, the same one who had been pursuing the runaway human healer, only to be bitten by the black wolves in the chaos. Amami's team, riding atop the mighty chimera, stumbles upon the chaotic scene. The wolf princess surrounded and gravely injured. Shock and concern fill their faces as they take in the danger before them. Moved by sympathy for the princess's plight, Amami and his companions rush to intervene. Just as they prepare to act, the forest god manifests, unleashing its power to wipe out the black wolves in an instant. The princess, dazed and overwhelmed, can hardly believe what she's seeing. A human, a beast man, and even the forest god standing together in unity. But her injuries are too severe. Her vision fades and she collapses. Acting fast, Amami catches her before she hits the ground. Worried, Koron hurries over and anxiously asks what they should do. Without hesitation, Amami replies firmly, "I'll treat her." He instructs Koron to gently place the princess on a soft bed of slime, ensuring she won't be further injured. Then, opening his medical box, Amami begins the procedure, carefully cleansing her wounds with a liquid solution, pouring a generous amount over her head to disinfect and tend to her injuries. After finishing the cleansing process, Amami moves on to the next step, using gauze to apply pressure to the princess's wound. Nearby, a nymph, acting as caretaker, watches over the injured girl, clearly worried about the bite mark. Noticing a small amount of bleeding still persisting, Amami decides to use an adrenaline additive and instructs Koron to prepare for the procedure. He calmly tells her to inject it carefully into the wound. The adrenaline additive is a special mixture of adrenaline and elaine, designed to effectively stop bleeding. Following Amami's guidance, Koron focuses intently, filling the syringe and injecting the anesthetic directly into the princess's wound. Not through the skin, but right at the source. Once the injection is complete, Koron gently presses a cloth over the wound and is surprised to see that the bleeding has stopped entirely. With the bleeding under control, Amami takes out a skin stapler to close the wound. He explains that this medical tool is used for suturing external injuries. It applies less pressure on the skin than traditional needles and thread, making the process faster and more efficient. However, he also notes that staplers are strictly forbidden for internal wounds involving nerves, bones, or blood vessels. Amami resorts to stitching the wound, efficiently bringing the procedure to an end. Koron watches closely, amazed by the effectiveness of the skin stapler, marveling at how quickly it sealed the wound. Amami calmly explains that since the injury was clean and not too deep, the treatment didn't take much time. He reassures Koron that with this care, the girl will recover soon. However, Amami grows slightly concerned when he notices that his medical box is running low on tools, leaving him uncertain about what to do next. Just then, the princess slowly regains consciousness, finding herself lying on the ground atop a soft bed of slime, which startles her. Amami's team reacts with excitement at her awakening, though the princess appears uneasy, glancing nervously at the unfamiliar faces around her. Koron gently advises her not to touch the wound, while Amami adds firmly, "Don't mess with it. It hasn't fully healed yet," reminding her that the treatment was only just completed. The princess is astonished to see that the bleeding has completely stopped. Amami calmly reassures her, explaining that he has successfully sutured the wound. He mentions that while a small scar might remain, it can easily be hidden beneath her hair. Curious and amazed, the princess wonders if this human was truly the one who treated her, even when the wound was bleeding so heavily. She looks at him intently and asks, "Are you a healing magician?" Amami looks at her with surprise, pausing to find the right words. Before he can answer, Koron jumps in enthusiastically, proclaiming that her master is unlike any other human, and proudly declaring that he is one of the greatest healing magicians in existence. In response, Amami humbly remarks that he's willing to be tested against any magician, ready to give his best to help those in need. As the conversation continues, the princess reflects inwardly, realizing that instead of depending on the church, they should have entrusted themselves to the forest god's guidance. Turning to Amami, she gazes at him earnestly and pleads for his help, her voice filled with desperation as she admits that her people are in dire need of a healing magician. Moved by her sincerity, Amami nods with compassion and agrees to help, asking where he should go to offer his aid. Overwhelmed by his kindness, the princess bursts into tears of gratitude. Moved by Amami's kindness, the princess wipes the tears from her eyes and declares that they must return to her kingdom immediately to confront the devastating illness known as the blood-spitting disease. Amami reacts with visible shock upon hearing the name of the disease. Koron then explains that the illness causes severe stomach pain, followed by relentless coughing of blood. She adds that in her village, it's a terrifying sickness that has already claimed countless lives. The princess further elaborates, saying that the disease turns excrement pitch black, drains strength from the body, and inevitably leads to death. Listening carefully, Amami begins to analyze the symptoms. Based on the description, the black-colored feces and internal bleeding, he suspects that the infection might be rooted in the upper gastrointestinal tract. Despite the grim outlook, Amami remains determined, confident that he might still be able to treat it using the limited medical supplies he has left. Knowing that an accurate diagnosis requires first-hand observation, he prepares himself for the journey ahead. Turning toward the forest god, Amami respectfully asks if it would allow them to ride once more as they set out on this crucial mission. The forest god responds with a graceful nod, granting its permission. Without hesitation, Amami and his companions mount upon it, setting out toward the elves' realm. The forest god sprints with astonishing speed, gliding effortlessly through the vast wilderness. The wind rushes past them as the forest scenery unfolds in all its mesmerizing beauty. Everyone feels a rush of exhilaration and joy, captivated by the breathtaking journey through the enchanted woods. Meanwhile, in a starkly different place, the elven queen finds herself imprisoned by demons, her hands bound tightly. Their demand is cruel and clear. The princess must bring back the human healers for an undisclosed reason. One of the demon lady's attendants nervously asks if the princess will truly succeed in retrieving them. With a sinister smile, the demon lady replies coldly that the princess has no choice. Failure means the queen's life will be taken, and if that happens, they will proceed to slaughter countless more. Amidst this dark exchange, the elven queen sits in despair, her heart heavy with sorrow as her thoughts drift to her beloved daughter, Princess Yu. Dr. Okusawa tends to a patient inside his quiet clinic, speaking with a tone of firm concern. He advises the man not to overexert himself during tomorrow's fishing trip, warning that pushing too hard could worsen his condition. Calmly but sternly, Dr. Okusawa reminds him that recovery from illness takes more than just a drink and a good night's sleep, and that his advice comes from a licensed doctor. The patient chuckles despite the lecture, joking that he felt a chill run down his spine. As he prepares to leave, the man mentions that the rain will likely come again soon and tells the doctor to take care. Once the door closes, Dr. Okusawa leans back in thought, a trace of concern in his expression. He quietly wonders where Amami could be now, and what corner of the world he might have wandered off to. The scene then transitions to the princess leading Amami and his team through the grand entrance of the Elf Kingdom's castle. She informs them that the person afflicted by the blood-spitting disease awaits inside. Koron, captivated by the sight, gazes around in awe, marveling at the breathtaking beauty of the kingdom's surroundings. The princess turns to face Amami just before they enter the castle. She tells him there's something important she wishes to share, and apologizes for deliberately keeping it from him earlier. With a solemn tone, she admits that hiding such information would be disrespectful, especially after witnessing his kindness. But when she looks up again, Amami has already walked ahead toward the entrance. Koron glances at her and asks if she was speaking to her master, realizing he's already gone inside. Their attention shifts to the castle's entrance, where three figures suddenly emerge, the same ones who had imprisoned the Elven Queen. The princess reveals that these are the individuals she failed to mention earlier. She warns Amami and the others to stay alert, as the demon leader and her companions approach. Facing them, the princess formally announces to Sir Alec that she has brought the human magic healers as requested. Then, with a trembling voice, she pleads for them to release her mother. But when Alec's gaze falls upon the forest god, his expression twists with fury. His tone darkens as he growls that bringing him here is nothing short of betrayal. The princess quickly steps forward to defend the forest god, explaining that it only carried them to this place and meant no harm. But the demon narrows his eyes in suspicion, accusing the princess of lying. With a harsh tone, he orders her to stay silent, declaring that they have broken their pact. Both the princess and Queen Melina stare in shock at his accusation. The demon's rage grows as he shouts that they've worked tirelessly for the elves, and if they fail to honor their side of the deal, they must pay with their lives. In response, Princess Yuno bows her head slightly, expressing sincere gratitude for the demon's protection and the safety they've provided. But her voice hardens as she insists that it was the demons who broke the agreement, not them. Despite her mother's attempt to calm the situation, Yuno stands firm, explaining that their tree-world country has already given everything it can. They've fulfilled their part by sustaining the demon's livelihood. Yet, the demons refuse to listen. They continue to torment the queen, holding her captive and deepening her suffering. Unable to bear it, the princess cries out in anguish, begging them to understand her pain, the heartbreak of watching her parents endure such torment. Overcome with frustration from their endless talk about duty, Princess Yuno snaps, declaring that the demons have no right to speak of responsibility after all they've done. Her words ignite the demon boss's fury. He glares at her, his voice trembling with anger as he accuses Yuno of speaking without any understanding of the pain his kind has endured. The demon lady steps forward, her tone sharp and bitter, questioning the value of their so-called livelihood when they can't even heal the sick standing before them. The demon boss continues, his voice filled with resentment. He demands to know what good healers are if they cannot save everyone, if they choose who lives and who dies. His anger builds as he condemns humans for monopolizing healing magic, using it for profit while showing no care for the suffering of others. He shouts that every day, his people die, powerless, hopeless, and forgotten, left with nothing but despair. Consumed by rage, the demon's voice erupts as he vows never to forgive. He swears to kill them all, to make them feel the agony his kind has suffered. With a furious roar, he unleashes his magic, the air trembling with its power. The ground shakes, the place fills with blinding energy, a reflection of his fury and his burning desire for revenge. Amid the raging storm, powerful gusts of wind tear through the place, forcing everyone to fight just to stay on their feet. Then, in an instant, the demon lets out a deafening roar as his body begins to twist and transform. Scales spreading, wings unfurling, until he becomes a massive black dragon. With a murderous glare, the dragon growls that he will grind them down to nothing but bones. Spreading his enormous wings wide, he prepares to unleash his devastating magic, leaving everyone frozen in shock at the terrifying sight. The dragon then launches his assault, his roar echoing through the sky as he challenges anyone daring enough to try healing again. Moments later, a massive fireball bursts from his jaws, scorching the ground as he continues his relentless rampage, engulfing everything in flames. Amami, Chimera, and Koron can only watch in disbelief as the fiery chaos unfolds before them. But just when it seems all hope is lost, as the searing flames are about to consume them, Slime suddenly leaps in, shielding them with its water-based powers. The water clashes with the fire in a violent burst of steam, extinguishing the dragon's blazing attack. Stunned, the dragon recoils in anger and confusion, his fire snuffed out. Still shaken but alive, Amami and his companions take a breath of relief and thank Slime for saving them at the last second. Before they can recover, the forest god charges into battle, joining the fight and striking fiercely at the raging dragon.